The human search for safety in our reality is actually a trap. I call this the safety paradox. What is happening is that as human beings, we move through life and we're holding a lot of fears. And those fears are projecting into the future about things that could occur, or things that could harm us, or suffering that could be experienced. And so, what we do is we seek to control our environment and we seek to dictate our experiences and our circumstances in order to mitigate the risk or reduce the chances of these fears that we're holding from actually coming into fruition, from actually happening and harming us. So, what is going on here is actually a loop. The fears that we're holding create the urge for these safety seeking behaviors, and that might be trying to control or organize our relationships, our work life, staying in a job that we're not happy with, fears and anxieties about finances or spending. It covers all of our aspects of life. And what happens is these safety seeking behaviors feel like they're being reinforced by this perpetual state of fear that we are all holding. And where is this coming from? At the root of this is the belief in our separation from the divine. Where we move through life and we believe ourselves to be individual, separate, physical beings without connection to the divine mind, then we live in this very isolated, alienated existence of believing my safety and my survival is all down to me. I'm the only one who is going to be able to protect myself and ensure my survival. And so it's really this belief system that tells us we are separate and alone from the divine that creates this fear state, which creates the tendency or the urge to carry out all of these safety seeking behaviors that we are all doing all the time. They're so habitual that people actually believe those behaviors to be a part of their identity, a part of their very character, and haven't seen or understood that actually the behaviors that are rooted in fears are actually these distortions, these parts of ourselves that are out of alignment with our true loving nature. So understanding this, that our external urges to control are rooted in our fear. Our fear is a consequence of our belief in our separation from the divine. The belief that it's every man for himself, we're all alone in ensuring our well-being or survival here. There's a major paradox here to understand, in that when we act from fears, what we actually do is create our own suffering. Now let's unpick how that works. When you take an action which you feel like is necessary to keep you safe, some kind of soothing type behavior, it might mean, oh, I need to stay in this relationship, or I need to stay with this partner because I'm needing that reassurance. And so we feel like, oh, I need to maintain this relationship even though perhaps it's not serving you, just as one example. As we replicate that safety seeking behavior, what we are actually doing is perpetuating the belief in the fear. So while there may be a short-term relief that comes from feeling like, oh, I've taken this action and that's kept me safe, that has ensured my safety in some way, because I've controlled my environment and I've controlled my experience. What that behavior is actually doing is reinforcing and embedding deeper this mechanism, this belief system that, oh, if it wasn't for me, if I wasn't thinking of all these things and all these catastrophes, then, I'd be completely lost. I'd be completely overwhelmed by tragedy or pain or difficulties. And so it becomes this vicious cycle, this loop of thinking that I have to keep replicating this pattern of seeking safety and controlling my external environment because no one else is going to do it for me. And that's the only way that I'm going to be safe. And in that is this underlying narrative of your belief that you are inherently unsafe. So that fear vibration is actually being pulled through your experience. It's being carried along your now moment in the present into your future. You are almost like dragging along this baggage, like dragging along this almost like a suitcase of pain and suffering of thinking, I'm not safe in the world. And it's those very safety seeking behaviors and attitudes that are continuing and perpetuating this often subconscious underlying sense of being insecure and being alone, being unsafe. So, this is the safety paradox. The things that we think are keeping us safe are actually creating our suffering. They are actually perpetuating our fears. So, our intention to do one thing is actually having the opposite inverse effect of harming us and reinforcing that false belief system that is at the very root of this mechanism that is playing out in the dimensions of consciousness. We're talking about things that are occurring in the subconscious and the unconscious, those lower dimensions of consciousness. And we're bringing those up into conscious awareness, into the light. So the question then becomes, okay, so if the things that we've been doing and the things that we've seen demonstrated by society and the role models that we've had of, oh, we need to do this, we need to have a job, we need to make money, we need to have a relationship, we need to get a mortgage, those types of behaviors are the examples that we've been shown of this is what you need to do to keep yourself safe in the world or reach success. If we understand that those patterns are actually harming us, those patterns are perpetuating our suffering, then we need to understand, okay, so what actually is safety? What actually is security? And this is a flip in understanding your existence and your presence in reality from being safety and security as being something that is achieved through external force, and instead understanding that true security, true safety is something that is an internal experience. What do I mean by this? True security is a state. It is a state of being. And so no matter how much we seek to control or dictate the circumstances externally to us, it's never really creating the sense of internal well-being and equanimity and strength and peace and bliss that we are truly seeking. it's a process of recalling back in your energy. So your attention and your focus, while it's being projected outwards into reality by saying, I need to control this area of my life, I need to control this area of my life, I need to control this person, what we're doing is we're dispersing out our energy, our life force energy, our focus. And that depletes us. That is exhausting. What we need to do instead is gather back up that energy, gather back up that focus and attention, and bring it into our internal experience and our internal state of awareness and well-being. And as you do that and you gather up those pieces and start to foster a deeper connection and a conscious connection with your own internal experience, your own soul essence, it is in here that you will begin to experience your connection to the divine energies. And it is in here that you will actually truly find the state of security and peace and safety and wellness that everybody is seeking. It is, in fact, an internal state. And while we continue on a quest of dictating and changing and controlling things external to us, we will never find the outcome, the relief of that state that we are truly yearning for. It is your birthright, it is your true nature to experience that and know yourself as being in connection with the divine. So this is a complete flip from thinking safety is something outside of us to understanding that the true state of safety and well-being is something that occurs internally. So how can we start to experience this and deepen this connection with ourselves? The main method is going to be doing things like meditation, doing internal reflections, so that might look like journaling or deep contemplations. And meditation doesn't have to be someone who sits on a yoga mat in lotus position, levitating. Meditation can be a state that you access as you spend time alone with your thoughts, alone with your internal experience. I've described before the need for everyone to really embody the role of being your own podcast interviewer inside of your own mind. And you can go out for an evening walk and be alone with your thoughts, and you'll be surprised about what you will find, what things unravel, what things come to the surface when you carve out time in your day to allow that inspiration, that essence of who you truly are and what you're truly experiencing, those emotions or those thoughts that you might have been suppressing or denying, and creating time in your day where those things can surface. They can blossom, they can bubble up to the surface. And it is in that deepening of that connection within yourself, within your true nature, within your real experience authentically, that you will feel and connect to the divine presence that had always been there, but that we had all been so distracted from. We had been numbing ourselves from what's happening inside and projecting our awareness outside of ourselves. So go inside. In there, you will find there is a well of peace and serenity and beauty, the sense of home that we are all seeking. And that is an infinite resource. It is there always. It cannot be extinguished, it cannot run out. It isn't dependent on anything external. So it becomes a sense of embodied clarity that you can live your life from and access, regardless of how things in the world or in your reality or in situations unfold or change or shift. When you are anchored in and rooted in, like a tree with deep roots, into this state of divine connection and of this peace, true security, true safety that actually lies within you. When you find this and you experience it, what you will start to unravel is all of the ways, all of the patterns that you had been frantically seeking your answers outside of yourself. And you will understand that you were fighting a losing battle. You were chasing for something in totally the wrong place. And you will see how those experiences have become a part of your soul's growth, a part of your soul's journey in bringing you back home to yourself, bringing you back home to the divine. This is the soul ascension journey, the evolution of consciousness that we are all on, and that humanity is going through a period of rapid growth and rapid awakening into your divine nature, into the divine spirit that lies inside of us all. This is the truth of security. This is the safety paradox, that the example that we've seen in reality demonstrated by other people is a trap and has always been a trap. And if you actually look at the examples of people who have gone to great lengths seeking security in their life, and perhaps there are people in society who are put on pedestals, and then you actually find out through conversations or information they share online, actually the external factors of finances or fame or whatever it may be, power, didn't actually result in the sense of peace and sense of fulfillment and joy that we had all been led to believe those external circumstances or conditions would give us. It's almost like being tempted by some kind of carrot and actually seeing through that illusion and understanding that that was a mirage. That didn't actually exist. That was a story that we were being fed and programmed with, where we were all replicating these behavioral patterns that only led to more suffering, more misery, more disappointment. The sense of safety, the sense of security is a divine gift. And it is something internal, almost like a pearl or a gem, a diamond, that is waiting inside of you to be discovered. So explore with this, play with this. Ask yourself, where am I seeking safety in my environment? Where am I moving and thinking and doing from a place of fear? And see if you can start to unravel some of those patterns just by setting the intention of becoming aware of this, becoming conscious of this. The energy will start to shift. Things will start to bubble up to the surface that previously had been subconscious And you can start to identify these patterns, and once you are aware of them, you can start to choose differently. You can start to alter the course of your life and your reality through your conscious awareness, through your focus and attention. This is the calling back of your life force energy and creating experiences, creating future situations and timelines for yourself where actually the suffering and the pain of the past transforms and transmutes into this embodied knowledge and experience of the divine joy, the divine bliss and peace that has always been available for you.